Hello again, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Dallas Cowboys Overtime here on StarTelegram.com, brought to you by the great people at Window Nation. I am Fort Worth Star Telegram columnist Mac Engel, joined by a very proud dad, Mr. Clarence E. Hill Jr. Clarence, I understand you are heavy into the graduation circuit this month. You've got a daughter graduating from Howard. You've got another daughter graduating from high school as she gets ready to go to Rice University. Just how much money are you blowing over these next 2 weeks as you celebrate your daughter's graduations?
Man, the thing about graduations, you got to do graduation parties.
Parties, okay? That's right.
You got people coming to town. You got to feed them. You got all this other stuff. People coming to celebrate your child. So the trip to DC, you know, it's kind of bittersweet because I was looking forward to my mom and dad being there. They passed away in the last couple of years, and my sister can't come because she broke her ankle. So it's really going to be a smaller thing for Howard University than we had planned and been preparing for, just because just life hits you. But it's a special moment. It's crazy. It seemed like every week we're talking about my daughter news and my youngest. I don't know if you saw. She made the cheerleading team at Rice, so she'll be cheerleading at Rice next year.
I love that.
I can't even focus on my oldest because my youngest keeps doing stuff, and
that's great.
You know, and her graduation is the end of the month at Trinity and Trinity High School. She's going to Rice University, but the oldest, she graduates this weekend. And the crazy thing about it is, I need some energy. Okay, so I need you to channel all your dad energy and send it to me because. So we have I'm leaving tomorrow. But she has her graduation at 8 a.m. on Friday morning from her college. And then Saturday morning, she has graduation for the school. President Biden speaking.
Oh, that's great.
Security.
So what time do you have to be there? Because I know presidential security means you got to get there like 2 a.m.
It starts at 10, and I'm sure we need to be there at least by 8 a.m. Probably. And so.
Is it indoors or outdoors?
It's outdoors, and it's supposed to rain. So but I'm not even finished.
Okay.
My youngest daughter has prom that night. So I'm flying back at 3:00 to get back for my daughter's prom Saturday night.
How are you going to get back? There's no way. I mean, I know there's an hour time difference. That's a long flight.
I land at like 5:30, 5:45.
And you live like 15 minutes from the airport?
Yeah.
God be with you, brother. I know you were a big fan of 5-hour energy drinks.
Oh my God!
You're always but you never drank coffee.
I'm not a coffee drinker.
I know, but you'll pound 5-hour energy. Are you on to like Monster or?
No, my daughter got me on Celsius. That's the new thing. A lot of the kids are on Celsius.
My daughter drinks Celsius. Do they taste any good? I hate that she drinks.
They're better than the other ones.
Oh, okay.
They're not bad. You can find a flavor. My daughter's got me on Celsius, so I've been doing the Celsius more than 5-hour energy of late.
So this is, I want to share this one anecdote. You should tell your daughter this. I don't know if you will, you should. So when I graduated from college, graduating from high school and college in my house, it wasn't a big deal. It just, for whatever reason, it just wasn't. It was just like, oh, this is what you do.
You're supposed to do, right?
Right. And what I didn't really appreciate is that my mom and dad came from a generation where you celebrated nothing, right? They were the generation, oh, you got a job? Great, get out. And I love my mom dearly and my dad, both of them. But this is just that generation. So anyways, I go to my college graduation, Clarence. This is from Kansas. I had 2 roommates. Well, one of my roommates, he was, I think, the only second member of his family who had graduated from college. So like all of his family is there. I'm like, why are these people here? And then my other roommate, he's Hispanic. And in his family, there's 1 million people at family functions. They're just everywhere. And graduating from college in that family and education was a big, big deal. So there's 1 million people for him too. So our apartment, Clarence, is packed. Meanwhile, it's me, my mom, and my dad, and my oldest brother flew in that day. God rest his soul. I lost him a few years ago. And I always remember the advice he gave me that day. He said, hey, look, mom and dad are going to want you to go out to dinner with them. And your buddies, they may want you to go out to dinner with their families or whatever. He says, look, once graduation is over, go spend a little time with your mom and dad and then leave. He said, go see your buddies, go hang out with your friends. You're not going to see them very much after this. So anytime somebody's getting ready to graduate from college, I always tell them that. He's like, just blow us off. He's like, you're going to see us at every major holiday for the rest of your life. He said, but your friends, you're not going to see them much anymore. So go hang out with them. So when you see your oldest daughter this weekend, you say, okay, once graduation, this party's over, go out and hang with your friends. Blow me off. You don't need to be hanging out with the old people.
No.
You know I'm right.
All this money I'm spending, we're going to spend some time together, okay? No, she's going, like I said, Saturday, I'm leaving anyway. We're leaving Saturday.
Yeah, you're taking off. Yeah,
we got to come back for prom. She's going to have her way. She's, that's fine. Get ready to go to law school.
Good for her.
She got it. Thank you, man.
That's all right. She's awesome. All right. Congratulations once again to the Hill family. All right. We got Cowboys stuff to talk about, not just our respective families and, parental advice. Clarence, Cowboys did make news this week because arguably their best player, let me take the arguably out of this, their best player, Micah Parsons says or admits casually that he's not doing off season with the Cowboys. He's doing it someplace else. Is that a big deal?
Austin.
I know, 3 hours south. Clarence, is that a big deal?
Well, I'm old enough to remember the infamous.
You're old enough to remember everything.
Prophetic words of one Darren Hambrick. What do voluntary mean? It's voluntary, but it's always been a big deal. They got on. He had to utter those words because they were mad at him because he wasn't at OTAs and wasn't at these volunteer workouts. And Jason Garrett talked, we got all these people living there, always in volunteer workouts. Mike McCarthy talked about so many people live in Dallas, and they work out and they come and they're all a part of it. But Micah Parsons, the best player on the team, says, I'm going to go to Austin to work out because I got this trainer I like and probably I like a little bit of 6'3" too. I'm going to hang out in Austin and I'll show up, in OTAs. I'll miss this part. It's not a big deal because it's Micah Parsons. If it was somebody else, it'd be a big deal. Like your job, spot on the roster would be jeopardized, all this other stuff. You're not part of the team. You're doing, but because of Micah Parsons, no one's better than that. No one's bigger than that. Jerry, they knew this before the draft. They did not say one word about it during the draft. Jerry, Stephen, Mike McCarthy, they talked about how OTAs were going well. Did not mention that their best player, possibly the best player in the NFC, who's actually, and we're going to transition there, switching positions.
Yeah, that's the big news. Go ahead.
Is not at OTAs.
No, I got to tell you, when I covered the team with you, I remember Terrell Owens. Terrell did his own thing. And Bill Parcells hated Terrell. Wade Phillips dealt with him, but they couldn't really control that guy. When I hear a guy is doing his own thing, I think it's always player specific. And if you can trust that guy, then who cares? And I think everybody at the Star with the Cowboys trusts Micah Parsons. They trust him to be a good teammate. They trust him to work out. They trust that his priority is the priority and that he's going to do it. And you're right. If that's like the guy fighting for the 50th spot on the roster, your butt better be up at the Star, right? You're trying to impress everybody. If you're an alpha and you're one of the best players in the league, yeah, you can kind of do what you want. Well, just make sure you're here on time for practice. And even then, it's okay. But the other thing that he did say when he talked to you guys was that he's ready to be a full-time defensive end, and he's going to add weight. That one concerns me a little bit. I know why he's doing it, but that one worries too strong of a word, but that one concerns me a little bit for a variety of reasons. I want to hear your take on this about Micah Parsons going from.
It's not just weight. We're talking about good weight. We're talking about bulk. We're talking about power, strength.
I'm not talking about you and me sitting around drinking, eating donuts and French fries and cheeseburgers and adding weight. This is a pro athlete.
I understand that, but I have to put this in context. The reason he needs to add weight, number one, because you're playing the defensive line position, defensive end, as opposed to linebacker. That's a million car wrecks on every play. Stopping a run, doing everything, getting doubled, getting chipped.
Coverage.
It wore on him last year. If you look at his numbers last year, he had way more sacks through the first 8 games than that for the last 9 games. Little nicks, little different things. It wore on him. The season wore on him. And so to prepare for playing defensive end for the bulk of the season, and that's going to be your primary position. He's going to be a full-time defensive end. He wants to be there. Number one, that's where the money is. If you want to get paid and that's where the money is. But all of that is part of it. He needs to add. Now, we're not talking about 20 pounds.
No, we're talking about 10, right?
Yeah, he's talking about 10 and keeping his speed, which is why he's working out in Austin and has this trainer and on this program to add bulk, but also keep his speed. And I just watched a video of him the other day running with actually Deuce Vaughn, outrunning Deuce Vaughn.
I saw that.
The speed is still there. I mean,
well, I mean, the weight gain.
Speed. He's gained some weight already. He's more than he was last year now. He's already added.
One of the challenges that we see consistently with NFL players as the season goes on, and even though the regular season has only been—
we're not talking about Luka, okay? We're not talking about Luka.
That's bad weight. That's beer weight.
Who had weight during the season?
Nobody. Nobody. He pulled it off. That's a good point. But with NFL players, a lot of those guys get weighed, and one of the concerns is that can they keep their weight on?
Right.
We're seeing, Clarence, consistently now in the last couple of years, as NFL players leave the league, especially front seven guys and really linemen, they're going from 320 to 215, and they look like human beings, not Marvel characters. And the thing about Micah, the reason why it concerns me is that he's so good at being able to do everything all over the field, from safety to rushing the passer. If he adds this weight and they basically make him more of, let's say, 75% edge rusher, does that take away from his ability to play side to side and 10 yards off the line of scrimmage and make plays that maybe 3 players in the NFL can make? We won't know until he does it. And he's such a good athlete. He might be able to pull it off. But that was my concern, they got this guy. This guy is a special breed of an athlete.
Yeah, but let me break some news to you. He played edge about 85-90% last year.
Was it that much?
Yes, it was that much.
So which
is why it wore on him. He played edge. He played way more than anticipated last year, and he's going to be the right end. And being the right end, if you look at him being the right end, he's going to win the sack title, okay? Because he's going to be the right end. That's all he doesn't have to worry about all the other stuff. So him playing in the middle and rushing sideline, that's out. They're not doing that anymore. Okay. He's going to be a full-time end. He's going to have a chance to impact the quarterback down and down out from that right end position.
All right, which means there should be a rookie linebacker for the Cowboys who benefits from this exponentially. We'll talk about that and more right after this break and a word from Window Nation.
Window Nation, the star of window replacement and proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys, can help you fill the house this season with savings. Buy 2 windows, get 2 free, and make no payments and pay no interest until 2025. Fill your house for a customized authentic Dallas Cowboys jersey while supplies last. You could even help fill the Cowboys house and win tickets to a game. Visit windownation.com/Cowboys now for details. Call 866-95-NATION. Window Nation, proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys.
Thank you very much, Window Nation. Back here on Cowboys Overtime with Mr. Clarence E. Hill Jr. I'm Mac Engel. All right, Cowboys will finally start doing football-related activities other than just talking about them this weekend at the Star in Frisco with their first rookie mini camp. Clarence, I know these rookie mini camps are usually, you've got your draftees, you've got your rookie free agent additions. It's a really small number, and it's a very quick exposure to NFL life for first-time NFL players. Obviously, the one everybody wants to see is the first-round pick, the kid from Michigan, the defensive tackle, Mozzie Smith. But there are other guys that they've added, obviously, who are going to make a difference. Who on this list is the player or players that you say, keep a sharp eye on that guy because he's probably going to get a good look because they're going to need that position to be filled, preferably by him?
Obviously, Luke Schoonmaker, the tight end, he's going to be a starter from day one.
You think he's going to start?
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Do you really? I didn't think he was going to start. Okay, that's interesting. All right, go ahead.
Well, I mean, he's a second-round pick. I mean,
you've seen a lot of second-round picks in this franchise, and they have bombed.
Yeah, but most of those second-round picks, they came in with red flags, and the Cowboys were betting on upside. They were saying this guy would have been a first-round pick if he didn't have injury, all this other stuff. And the Cowboys were taking a chance on hitting big on a first-round talent to drop to the second round. That's not the case here. This guy was picked where he was supposed to be picked. And, he's a guy who was a tight end in Michigan who blocked for the run and catch the ball out of the backfield. He can do everything. Obviously they're going to use more than one tight end, and they're going to, all of them going to play a lot. but he's going to be a big part of what they do at tight end from day
But you
one.
think, Clarence, I want to make sure I hear you right. You think he starts ahead of Ferguson right away?
Yeah, why
Right.
not? But I mean,
because hear me out.
Maybe two tight end sets. I mean,
well, okay, yeah, okay. If it's a two tight end set, then that's totally different.
But he's going to be on the field playing a lot right away.
Okay, but hear me out. This is my hesitation about that. This is not like Deuce Vaughn. Deuce Vaughn's going to see ball a lot because rookie running backs see the ball a lot if they're pretty good. And of course, pass protection plays into some of that, obviously. But the thing about Schoonmaker or any of these guys is that how do you adjust to an NFL system? How do you adjust to the NFL game? And we've seen the one that jumps off the page to me. We've seen this team invest high picks on tight ends, and they couldn't make the transition very well. Anthony Fasano, I'm dating myself. Fasano was a really well thought of player coming out of Notre Dame. He had all the measurables. He was this, he was that. He couldn't figure out the offense. He just couldn't figure it out. So I bring in all these different guys to push Jason Witten, and none of them could. But who was the big kid out of A&M, the phenomenal athlete and really a nice player who never really did,
First of all, I'm just going to stop you because I think you're talking about a narrative with all due respect. You're talking about Martellus Bennett, and Martellus Bennett was a very good tight end and
very good.
Jason wouldn't let him on. You got to understand, Jason wouldn't let a lot of these guys on the field. And I know you say Anthony Fasano didn't figure it out. Understand this: Anthony Fasano played from 2006 to 2017.
Oh, he played in the league forever. But Clarence, I'm talking about.
But what
he played a long time.
He wouldn't let guys get on the field.
This idea that he just sat there and had a gun and was doing this to Martellus and Fasano and all that's ridiculous. He didn't let him on the field because it was a one tight end set and he was the best tight end. And the other guys, they went other places and they played a long time. Martellus was a great blocker.
So what I'm saying is, that's different than the scenario here. Number one, you love Luke and Fergie Jake and what he did, but he was a fourth round pick. This is a second round pick. They drafted over him. Number one. They drafted over him. They drafted a second round pick who was ranked higher coming out than him. To be a part of this tight end group. They love Jake and he's gonna be a part of it. They love, I can't think of the guy's name, but
you and I are getting old and we can't remember names.
No, I'm talking about the rookie from last year.
Peyton Hendershot.
Yeah, Hendershot, excuse me.
Yeah.
They love him too. They all of them are gonna play, but expect Schoonmaker actually to start at the position, but all I'm going to say that's not David. But moving on to other players, the third round pick from Texas, Demarion Overshawn.
That's it.
We talked about Micah. You're playing a lot of end. They're moving to end. They need a rookie to step up. They don't have a lot of depth at that position. Really, the guys they have at linebacker, you got Leighton Vander Esch, you got Damone Clark, and that's it.
Well, then give me you followed Texas. You watched most of all Texas games. I watched a handful. Give me a comp on Overshawn. Like if you say he's kind of like that guy, who would he be like?
I mean, I don't know if I can pick a guy. I just know that he's a guy that can rush the quarterback. He's a former safety. He's long. He can cover people in the backfield.
Anthony Barr maybe when Anthony Barr was young. Anthony Barr when Anthony Barr was younger.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, but you need like they drafted Jabril Cox to be that guy, and he is not taking hold.
No, you're right.
From LSU. But so looking at rookie minicamp, they need Demarion Overshawn to come in and show up, and obviously everybody's going to be excited to see Deuce Vaughn, and it's a feel good story because his dad works there. It's a feel good story because he's 5'5" and nobody thought he could get drafted. He's overcoming all the odds, but we watched this guy. For the last 3 years in the Big 12 at Kansas State.
Yep.
He is not just a field-goal story. The kid can play. Yep. He tore TCU up. Some of the best, film of him breaking that TCU defense back ankles, running for the touchdown. We saw him in the Big 12 championship game. The guy can flat out play, and they're going to find a way to use him.
In terms of the first rounder, Mozzie Smith, obviously that will be a starter, should be a starter, or something else has gone terribly wrong. But Clarence, what should we realistically? Because I had this idea about rookies. I've tested this on NFL guys, see veteran NFL players play in the league, and I had this timeline for them, which was if you've got a 17-game schedule and you've got a rookie, and I'm not talking about a top 10 guy, especially at a running back, but expect that guy to make a difference in about 6 to 7 games, and about 4 to 5 of them, he's going to look like he's just totally, in over his head. And then the rest, it's kind of a middle ground there. So if he starts and he makes a difference, a positive impact, let's say half the season, to me, that's a really good rookie year. And we should expect that this guy is going to progress and get better. But in terms of like when we watch that defense play with Mozzie Smith in the middle, how is it going to look different than what we saw last season with which was a pretty good defense?
Well, I mean, I think that when you gauge rookies and their impact, position matters. How much you have to think. All the development, all the different things, and what you're asking them to do. One thing that the Cowboys made a mistake last year with their rookie with Jalen Tolbert, they asked him to do too much too early. And he was.
Do you think that's what it was? Do you think
that's part of it? Yeah, they asked him. Yeah, they asked him to do too much. First of all, I had too many expectations for him to come in from a small school who had not been just started playing football in high school to come in and do too much, and they put too much on him. They played inside, they played outside. They were expecting him to be a top 3 receiver from day one, and it was just too much for him. He was overwhelmed. Certainly, that was part of it. But with Mozzie, he's asked to come in and stop the run. He's asked to be a run stop. He has to hold the point of attack. He's a big, strong guy. They ask him to come in and be big and strong. Don't ask him to think and ask him to do anything else. Be big and strong. When Micah Parsons screamed after the draft and they picked Mozzie Smith, no more quarterback sneaks. It was a pointed comment to the Eagles in their strength on offense of using a quarterback sneak with Jalen Hurts on 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1. This is an option to help combat those Eagles quarterback sneaks. With Mozzie and with Hankins coming back, the Cowboys will be a better run defense, which should allow them to get after the quarterback on 3rd down. One thing, if you look at that defense, toward the end of the season, they weren't getting to the quarterback as much because teams were running more on them. And really, they didn't earn the right to rush the quarterback anymore because they weren't stopping the run. They stopped the run. That allowed Micah to eat and get back to getting to the quarterback. That's the focus for Mozzie. It's not for him to come in and put up great stats. Just be stout in the middle.
All right, our last subject here to talk about on this week's episode of Cowboys Overtime. Clarence, you and I both know that the Dallas Cowboys are not just a football franchise. This is an entertainment company whose portfolio happens to include a football team. Only the Dallas Cowboys could make what I'm about to say normal. Tomorrow night, Thursday night, at the Star in Frisco, is the Country Music Awards. You and I talked about this off camera for a second about music that we listen to. I haven't really listened to country music since I was in college. My roommates listened to it. Ever since, I just kind of gave up on it, and I don't listen to it. But there is a performer who was at the Star yesterday and will be there again tomorrow. She's the hostess that I am kicking myself for not going to throw out a question, and that is the great Dolly Parton. I am a Dolly Parton fan. I think everybody loves Dolly Parton. And it reminds me, I think I would be starstruck around her, much in the same way. And I know you remember this about 7 or 8 years ago. You remember when Denzel Washington came to Cowboys training camp in Southern California?
Of course, yes.
And you're like, and you've been around these guys forever in terms of celebrity types. You don't get starstruck, but that day you were. You're like, get a picture. And you got a chance to talk to him for a second or two. And remember how he wasn't that big? Remember how he was a little guy?
Yeah, of course, yes. Little guy.
So this was like I feel like I've really blown it. I'm like, Dolly was there. I could have seen her, but there's nobody.
You chose to hang out with Jake Paul, okay?
It was the dumbest decision ever.
You chose to hang out with Jake Paul.
I went to the fight press conference. Jake Paul is going to fight Nate Diaz at the American Airlines Center on August 6th. I was like, I'll go see this. This. Nobody cares. I mean, nobody. And I'm like, really? There's no audience for this? I thought there'd be an audience for it.
No, why would anybody care about Jake Paul?
Because people are buying it. People are buying.
They may buy it, but
if they're buying it, if you spend money on it, you care. I care about it.
Garth Brooks is here too. And I mean,
that's another one.
Dolly Parton, Garth Brooks, Ed Sheeran. You got some big time people here.
I know.
Man.
So here's the thing. I'm looking at this list.
Luke
tomorrow night,
Combs.
here we got Ed Sheeran, Carly Pierce, Trisha Yearwood, Cole Swindell, Jody Messina. I had a chance to interview her last month before she came to Fort Worth. Ashley McBride, Brandy Clark. I don't know who any of these people are. Jordan Davis, Hardy.
You don't
Jason
know Miranda
Aldean.
Lambert?
Yeah, I've heard of Miranda Lambert, but all these people, I don't listen to them anymore. And that's what I was thinking, because the one thing I think that's happened to me that I've been warned that you'll get to a certain age and you won't know who any of the new performers are in anything. Did you get it?
Yes, I got
Did you get it? Good job. So you brought this up. What do you listen? Like, you're 50-some years old. What do you listen? Do you listen to any current? You listen to Beyonce. I know you listen to Beyonce, and she's current. But are you up to date on current performers? I'm not.
I'm not really. I don't. Again, I have a young daughter, and I listen to the mess she listens to. I don't, up to date. I really was never. My son is a big, rap guy and hip hop, and I grew up with music. I was so a sports guy. I was never a big music guy. I like to go out and listen to music when I go out.
Yeah,
listen
right.
to the car, listen to the radio. But I don't have a collection of albums and CDs, and that was never my mission growing up. And I don't have never had this huge sound system with all this bass and treble and cars. I never had the great sound. That was never important to me.
So when I sent you that email, I got some notification that LL Cool J.
Yeah, no, but I do like.
Would you go to that? Would you go to that? Would you?
Yeah. I went to one at the Toyota Music Factory. I do like my old school music. I love live music. What I'm saying is, I like to go to concerts. I like live music. I will go to those events. I just not necessarily gonna have them, booming out my car at 100,000 decibels. So I'm just not doing that at all. But yeah, it's gonna be good. You got Dak Prescott, Emmitt Smith are also gonna be. Presenting awards and stuff.
Only the Cowboys would do this. I got to tell you a funny story. So last year, Clarence, my daughter says that no one can get tickets to the Olivia Rodrigo concert. And I'm like, who's Olivia Rodrigo? I don't even heard of her. Do you know who Olivia Rodrigo is?
No.
Okay. So she was one of those Disney stars that kind of went to Miley Cyrus and Hannah Montana and all this. So she's that same strata and path of performer. I'm like, I don't know who she is. And she says, well, no one can get tickets. Well, sure enough, I got 2 tickets. So I went. No line. Yeah, this is at the Toyota Music Factory. Tickets were like $1,000 for this girl. She's like 18 or 19 years old. I'm the only adult male there. I felt so uncomfortable. No line at the men's room. No line for getting beer because.
Why were you there? Did you take your daughter? Please tell me you took your daughter.
Yes, I took my daughter.
Okay, I'm gonna say.
You think I went by myself?
I took
my daughter. So I took my daughter. Her concert was an hour long.
That's
She's 19. That's it, because she doesn't have enough songs. And I'm like, this, and all it is like this teenage angst, and I don't like myself, and boys are mean. And I'm listening, and they were eating it up. My daughter's sitting there, and she's singing along, screaming every lyric. I'm like, I have no idea who it is. And then at that moment, I'm like, yep. I am that guy. But I'm a good dad. I was a good dad.
You're a great dad. My daughter wants Beyonce tickets, and I can't afford those. She's a big Beyonce fan.
Clarence, she wants. I'm going to tell you something. You can.
Okay,
you know the right people.
We'll work on this. But anyway, I can't afford Beyonce. Okay, I am sorry.
No, you got to go.
No, I don't have to go. We got one more subject to talk about that I left off our list. The NFL schedule is coming out. The schedule is coming out tomorrow.
Is it going to really come out?
We've had schedule. We have announcements of the schedule announcement.
Are they really going to do it? Because I kept reading them at the delay it because they don't have the Thursday night thing lined up.
The schedule is coming out. They have already announced the slate of international games for next year. The Cowboys are not on it because the Cowboys are not giving up a home game, and no other team wants to give up a Cowboys home game. So they're not on the international.
So let me ask you this.
They've announced the Black Friday game. They've announced the Christmas Day game. 3?
Is there going to be 3 Christmas Day games? Triple header?
Yes, it is. But they've announced one. It's going to be Giants and Eagles. And
so my question about this
is New Year's Eve game. They have a New Year's Eve game. They got lots of games. The Cowboys will come out tomorrow. But, Go ahead with your question. I'm sorry.
Okay, so the Dallas Cowboys. So Jerry Jones, when they built AT&T Stadium, he said, I don't think you were there that day, but I distinctly remember him saying, I want to get in the business of hosting Super Bowls. So they hosted one, coincidentally, the one Mike McCarthy won with the Packers in 2011 against the Steelers. It was a total logistical nightmare fiasco because of the weather. DFW was not built to handle weather that first week of February. And Arlington and North Texas has not hosted it since because Jerry really thought he would be part of the rotation with Miami, Phoenix, wherever else, right? In New Orleans. And that hasn't happened. We haven't had one since. Now, the other part of it is that if Jerry won't give up a home game to the NFL's international schedule, is the NFL saying to Jerry, if you won't give us if you won't give the Cowboys to London or Germany or wherever else, then we're not giving you a Super Bowl. Is that right?
That was part of the conversation. Yes, that was part of the deal when they started doing international games. And to get a Super Bowl, you have to give up a home game and participate in international games. Jerry's not doing that because he makes too much money at home games. And so that's the reason why the Cowboys have only been to London since the international game started. You got to understand that, I'm talking about this new version of international game, not the ones with Tom Landry and those guys. When they started doing it every year, the Cowboys are the league's most popular franchise.
No doubt.
But the Cowboys are not part of that rotation of going to international games because Jerry does not want to give up a home game. And it hasn't played a role in them not getting the Super Bowl. Right now, they're in this whole thing of giving Super Bowls to new stadiums. You see all the new stadiums getting all the Super Bowls and stuff like that. But to get part of the rotation in the past, it's been you have to give up the home game to an international game to get a part of Super Bowl rotation. And Jerry Jones, yes, he wanted the AT&T Stadium to be a part of this rotation. But when the last time it's been in New Orleans? I mean, they don't do that. It used to be New Orleans, San Diego, Miami every other year and rotate. It's really not been that because they're giving all the new stadiums and they have to, really justify financing the new stadiums by giving them a Super Bowl and all that other stuff. So one thing that has come out of the 17-game season is because now every other year you have 9 home games.
Right.
And there's a chance that the Cowboys give up one of their home games because you still get your regular 8 that you've always had and possibly be part of that 9th rotation to go overseas. We'll see if that works, getting the Cowboys overseas, where that works, and pulling the Super Bowl back to Dallas. But right now, they have not been in that rotation. You understand the Cowboys, the AT&T Stadium has hosted everything. NBA All-Star game. It has the World Cup coming. Yep. They are venue.
I think the only thing, Clarence, that AT&T Stadium hasn't hosted that absolutely stuns me is the Republican National Convention before a presidential election. That I can't think of anything else big that it hasn't hosted. And a hockey game. It did not host. I thought it might get a hockey game, but it really for the Winter Classic.
Well, they try to do the thing outdoors on ice, and they did it at the Cotton Bowl.
They did the Cotton Bowl. Yeah, they did the Cotton Bowl because it really the Stars wanted to do it at AT&T Stadium, but from a logistical standpoint and the schedule and all that, it just wasn't as Cotton Bowl was easy. AT&T Stadium wasn't because of other events. All right, so the NFL schedule will be out Thursday night. I'm glad you mentioned that. Dallas Cowboys rookie minicamp starts Friday at the Star in Frisco. Country Music Awards, which I know nothing about, other than the fact that the great Dolly Parton will be hosting it, is tomorrow night.
Garth Brooks.
Garth Brooks. I did get to see Garth Brooks, one of the all-time great performers, by the way. What else am I missing?
And he opened up AT&T Stadium just to bring it full start.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. And he opened up AT&T Stadium. And Clarence will be flying to Washington, D.C. to watch his daughter graduate from Howard, fly back to watch his daughter, his youngest daughter, get ready for prom. I will be watching my daughter play what feels like 78,000 soccer games on Friday and Saturday. For all of your Dallas Cowboys coverage needs, check us out here on StarTelegram.com. Thank you, Window Nation. Thank you, Clarence. Safe travels. Best to your daughter and your family. See you next week.
Thank you, man.